This morning, the Biden administration is doing a bit of damage control after President Biden made some improvised remarks about President Vladimir Putin. Take a listen.
A dictator bent on rebuilding an empire will never erase the people's love for liberty. Brutality will never grind down their will to be free. Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia, for free people refused to live in a world of hopelessness and darkness. We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principle, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
For more on the reaction to those last comments, we go to the White House with correspondent Kellen Howell joining us. Good morning, Kellen.
Good morning, Jay. Well, yeah, pretty much right away after the president made those comments on Saturday, the White House started doing damage control. A White House official put out a statement almost immediately after the president concluded his remarks, seeking to clarify what he meant. And the White House is saying that the president was not actually calling for regime change. I want to pull up this statement and read it for our viewers here. The president's point, the White House official says, was that Putin cannot be allowed to exercise power over his neighbors or the region. He was not discussing Putin's power in Russia or regime change. And then, Jay, the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, went on to double down on this sort of clarification when he was speaking in Jerusalem on Sunday. He said that President Biden meant to say that President Putin could not be empowered to wage war in Ukraine. Listen.
I think the President, the White House, made the point last night that, quite simply, President Putin cannot be empowered to wage war or engage in aggression against Ukraine or anyone else. As you know, and as you've heard us say repeatedly, we do not have a strategy of regime change in Russia or anywhere else for that matter. In this case, as in any case, it's up to the people of the country in question. It's up to the Russian people.
Now, despite these clarifications, Jay, the president's comment is still making waves around the world. The Kremlin, in a response over the weekend from a spokesperson, said that it's not up to President Putin to President Biden, rather, to decide what happens to President Putin, clarifying that he is elected by the Russian people. President Macron of France said that he wouldn't have used the same wording that President Biden chose, saying that it could potentially impact diplomatic discussions with Vladimir Putin and with the Kremlin. But the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States also said this weekend that Ukrainians heard President Biden loud and clear. Jay.
Okay, Kellen Howell reporting live for us from Washington, D.C.